Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Love and Money. My name is Jeremiah Reed, and I'm the owner of Mental Wealth LLC.
And my name is Bernard Meckel, and I am the business partner, and I lead the relationship side of Mental Wealth.
Today, we're going to be talking about accountability, brother.
Yeah.
So, this is an important topic. A lot of people, when it comes to finances, don't like accountability. Mm-hmm. So, I'm interested just to hear your thoughts and your leadership on what accountability looks like from a relationship perspective.
Yeah. Right. So accountability is a huge word, right? I think first off, the couple we need to define it, and then I think there's two aspects of accountability, right? We were discussing the other day, and we were talking about when we think about accountability, there's accountability that comes from creating a plan of defense, and accountability that comes from creating a plan of offense, right? Where on the defense side, you are figuring out how do I, in my relationship, in my marriage, hold my spouse and my spouse hold me accountable as it relates to money. Mm-hmm. And so you begin to plan out a strategy that keeps you from messing up money, mm-hmm. right? But you also do budgets and things like that, which keeps you from messing up your money. But then there's a offensive side that allows you to be on the attack with your money. So intentionally saving, knowing where your money is going, which is I would call it an offensive attack. Right, investing your money, I would call it an offensive attack. Mm-hmm. Whether you put a 529 plan together, or rather you save up for an emergency fund or pay off debt, those are all plans of offensive attack that allows your money to grow. And allows you and your spouse to be accountable for where your money is going. And so, that's kind of what I think about when I think of accountability. I ultimately think of what you do on the money side of things when you help people kind of understand what they are accountable for, mm-hmm. and then it comes down to their roles. So
yeah, and what I love about mental wealth is it's a customizable approach to people. Because certain people need an extra push. And mm-hmm. that's where myself or even you might come into the picture and coach them, mm-hmm. and kind of hold them accountable until they can hold themselves accountable. Because I love the B word. I love budgets. Mm-hmm. But sometimes people are afraid to even dive into a budget because they're like, nah.
It's restraining.
Yeah. And I love to change people's mindsets to say, no, it's not restraining. It's actually freeing. Mm-hmm. Because now you absolutely know what your money is doing, yeah. according to your priorities. Mm-hmm. A budget reflects your priorities. It's not just some, hey, you can't go out to eat, you can't do this, you can't mm-hmm. do that. And it might be times for that, mm-hmm. depending on your financial situation, but you might not even know. Let's look at the numbers and see what the story is.
Yep. Yeah, I like that, man. And you said the word priority, and literally it's that's where I got my idea of creating a defense and an offense. Is mm-hmm. you're literally prioritizing the most important things in your life, right? So it's not constraints, right? It's mm-hmm. not keeping you from being able to live your life. It's actually creating a lifestyle that allow you to live your life for the long term, mm-hmm. right? And a lot of people don't process the long term aspect of money, yeah. right? Especially how I grew up and how I know you grew up. Yeah. Money was something you came by and you utilized it for that moment, right? It was survival mode.
It wasn't poverty mindset.
Exactly, yeah. exactly. And a lot of times people don't realize that they're in a poverty mindset, right? They believe they work hard, they earn their money, mm-hmm. and it's theirs to do what they want to do with it. Yeah. And one day they will do better with it. One day they'll invest. One day they'll use a budget. Right now they don't need a budget because they checks fat. They get them every 2 weeks, And so they'll think about the B word. Right. But the reality is when you don't have a plan of attack, when you don't have a plan of defense, right? Offense and defense. When you don't have those plans, you literally put yourself in position to be a bad steward of your money, mm-hmm. right? There's no accountability of your money, right? My wife and I, we kind of did the same thing. We weren't spending anywhere, like doing anything. We was opposite. We could enjoy the fruits of our labor, mm-hmm. right? God gave us the money to steward, and even though we weren't mismanaging it, we wasn't storing it correctly because we didn't know where money was going. All we knew was we wasn't spending on anything. I wasn't buying J's. She wasn't living it up. We weren't going on vacations because we were thinking, oh man, we don't have a lot. We just need to make sure we, don't overspend. But we didn't even have a budget to even know if we were overspending. Right. It would just be whatever the math my wife doing in her head and wherever I'm feeling because I was just cheap. Oh, I don't think we can do that. That's too much. And she would have to what you mean? That's too much. We got this, we got that. I'm like, where is that? And when I look in the account, it's only this, and we got to make sure we got this bill coming out, so we got to keep that in. And she was like, no, you get paid, and I didn't think about that. Well, we didn't have no plan of attack. Yeah. We didn't have an offense. We didn't have a defense. Therefore, there was no accountability for each other, nor was there accountability to our money, which is a mismanagement of our finances. And we weren't even splurging or doing anything crazy.
Yeah. So I want to dive into, I think, something when you hear accountability. You think about pride. Pride makes it very hard to hold each other accountable. And I often see in relationships where if a husband tried to lovingly say, hey, wife, chill out, you didn't spend too much. Instantly, that could be an attack mode for them to attack back, or the other way around. When the wife taps the husband and say, hey, we agreed to this, and you're, not following that. And now we need to do X, and he might feel like attacked. So how do you deal with pride and really just coaching a relationship and hey, let's remove the pride and get back on the track and hold each other accountable?
Yeah. So there's a few things that I kind of how the way I function in my relationship, and when I'm dealing with a relationship and marriage, some key things. One of them, the first is pray, right? You have that as part of mental wealth, right? That's a part of the program. And the reason that's an accountability method, which is an offense method, is you are now bringing God into your finances, right? Not for a blessing to be rich and for him to shower you with financial blessings, but it's ultimately for accountability. To guard our hearts, right? To make sure that you on the right track, I'm on the right track. And when I hold you accountable, right? When I hold my spouse accountable, our prayer life is us coming together. Right. And when we're praying and I hold my wife accountable in any kind of financial situation or vice versa, she receives it, right? Because of the union that we have, because of we talked about alignment in the last one, because of our alignment, right? She received the accountability, right? So I would say pray. The next one is I would say kind of making sure that you have some form of accountability beyond your marriage, right? You're my accountability. Right, you and Salam is my wife and I accountability as it relates to finances. I come to you about investment options. I come to you about, if I had, especially early on, we were figuring out roles and you were helping me, and we were and I was trying to be the head hunter as it relates to managing our money. And he was like, bro, you not the brains. You can't manage the money, BJ. You don't like numbers. And I'm like, dang, that's true. He was like, what about if you just manage the budget? And I'm like, dang, I didn't think about that. I'm like, you know what? That's really what I was trying to do. I just want to know where it's going, and I want to be the one who's always reconciling. But my wife, the numbers person, she can crunch that. I just give her the final product. Here go the numbers. Here go what we spent and a budget, and here you go. And she figure out what's the best plan of attack with debt. She figure out what's the best plan of attack for what we're gonna put in investments, what we're gonna put in savings. With the strategy. Any kind of big expenses that we're foreseeing. She the one who helped say, hey, in order for us to reach this, we need to put up this amount of money. Yeah. And I'm like, cool, right? Them roles are there. That's the accountability we're talking about. And so that's really what's important, to pray together and to have those people that can hold you accountable, that you can call your spouse out on, say, hey, Salam, talk to your girl. She ain't acting right financially. We agreed on this, man. It seemed like it's really difficult for her. Do you mind sharing kind of what your experience with your husband, how you guys got on the same page? Or she may have to my wife might have to hit up you and say, Jeremiah, man, BJ, he tripping. Yeah. He ain't handling things right. We haven't had that issue. Yeah. And I'm thankful for that. But that's a reality for a lot of couples. No, definitely. So.
Yeah, I like that. And so as we get ready to close up this accountability part of love and money, what is one thing you want to lead to the people?
You said the word pride. Pride is the enemy. It's the arch enemy of humanity. Right. It's always been what slows us down, tears us apart. I call it Satan. A lot of people may just say, hey, that's the human nature, yin yang, whatever people call it. The reality is we can't let pride step in. We have to address ourselves first and foremost, so we can address the pride issues in our own hearts before we address the pride issues in our significant other hearts, in our spouse's hearts, or in other people's hearts in general that you may be helping out or may be in a relationship financially, dealing with each other financially. So that's what I would say.
No, I would definitely agree with that. And the last part I wanted to leave too, these P's are kind of adding up with prayer and then people, and we're talking about pride, but I want to end with permission. I think that having that open conversation and giving permission to your spouse, like, hey, check me in these areas. Like, this is an open playbook for us, and I need help and accountability in these areas. Opening that door for that permission makes it extremely easy for the other person to hold you accountable.
I like that.
Because if you don't ever have the opportunity or the talk to say, hey, this is the area where I give you permission to, the other person's on eggshells. They don't know if they can call you out on it because you never even talked to them about it. And so the worst thing that can happen is they say nothing, and then they just let the household burn. And I seen that out of fear. People say nothing, and then people just burn as far as their financial situation goes and their goals and things like that. So just want to end with permission, and my brother ended with pride. Make sure you keep those things on your radar. Hopefully you was taking notes. And we just want to end this series and look out for us for part 3 when we discuss attacks. He gave a little bit of that today with offense and defense, but we're going to dig a little bit deeper in that. All right. Thanks for tuning in to Love and Money. See you later.